FitAlissa.com, and I am so excited today to bring you my newest friend and celebrity chef, Charles Mattocks. And he is kind enough to give me his time on the Saturday evening. And we're really excited because we want to help everybody learn how to stay healthy and feel good and fit and know that you can do it, that diabetes is not a limitation. You have many abilities, and we want to show you happy, healthy, positive ways that you can do it. I like to think that we can provide some good resources, and so excited to have you hear about Charles and some of his projects. He's has a couple of cookbooks out I'm going to have him talk to you about, and a new movie coming out, and I'm really excited. So take it away, Charles.
Well, I'm excited to be here. How are you today?
I am fabulous, thanks.
We're working late tonight, huh? We're up late.
There you go.
You know. well, yeah. I mean, you know, I'm impressed by your work, obviously, and then your passion for diabetes. Obviously, I am also a type 2 diabetic, and you know, I initially was started off in music. You know, not to name drop, but of course it's my uncle's Earth Strong Day, you know.
I was going to say happy birthday, Bob. I saw that today.
Exactly. So started off in music, you know, obviously that's all I knew to do was try to, you know, do something creative. And it started off in music. Back then it was just rap music because I didn't know how to start a band or anything like that. And did very well with that, you know, had record deals and worked with some of the biggest people in the business. Me and LL Cool J were good friends for a while. Lived with him and helped me get into the business. And so that was really my passion of wanting to kind of, you know, get into the world of entertainment. And that's pretty much how it started. And then from there, it went to, you know, film and television. And, you know, I had my son and I wanted to be on Sesame Street, and I had a really good manager who hooked me up with a big agent in New York, and next thing you know, I'm going on auditions and I'm booking these things. I didn't even know what they were. I'm just, so, you know, I'm like, okay, you know, and then I think I failed one day miserably.
On Sesame Street?
No, I never made it to Sesame Street. But because people who are successful are persistent failures, you know what I'm saying? And that's just the thing. So I remember one day I was up for an audition with Deborah Quiller. Deborah is an unbelievable casting director. She casts everything from Shawshank Redemption to Law and Order to Spider-Man to you name it. And I was in there one day and I was terrible. When I mean I was terrible, I was terrible. And I remember, I literally remember that day like it was yesterday, and that day is probably 20 years ago, right? So, no, not that long ago, but, and she said, well, Charles, we're going to work together one day. And I'm like, oh, and I left that audition just really mad at myself because I thought, you know what, I've got an opportunity here for something and I'm screwing it up. So I said, all right, I'm not going to mess this up again. So another audition came up, I think very shortly after, maybe a month later, and it was with her. And I'm like, wow, this lady, you know, what's she going to think of me? You know what I'm saying? So I said, you know what? I'm going to stop playing around with this. I'm going to learn my lines. I'm going to get this thing together. And I literally went in there, put this lady in tears, got the role. And that's when I kind of really started taking acting serious and from there. So, you know, that's kind of how I got my whole foot in the door, and then moved to
what was the role that you got that was so exciting?
That one was it was actually an AIDS patient, but it was with Cuba Gooding Jr., who played you know, Cuba. Of course, we all know Cuba Gooding Jr.
Of course.
And
people
then
have a resemblance to him, don't you?
People say that. I think I'm the better looking version, but people say that. And then, okay, yeah. Then from there, I was able to land probably my biggest role of today, it was called the Ben Tyler. It was called The Summer of Ben Tyler with James Woods and Elizabeth McGovern, and I played Ben Tyler, and that was an amazing experience, and the start of a journey, and that kind of opened up the door to so many other things, and kind of why I'm where I'm at right now. So
weren't you up for an Emmy Award?
I was for Best Supporting Actor.
For what?
For that role, even though I was a star.
Ah, that was a minor detail we forgot, right?
even though I played the title role, I'm still the best support. I'm the supporting actor. I guess when you got people like James Woods, you are still supporting.
Well, you are a good supporter because we're all intrigued by your abilities, and you're quite the inspiration. So I'm just really excited that hopefully we can start collaborating and changing the diabetic community together.
For sure.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit, you got diagnosed, you started saying you wanted to change your son's life, and when you were diagnosed with diabetes, you decided that you needed to make a change. So that's when you left the acting industry and you turned to the poor chef. Am I saying that right? The poor chef? Is that what you're known as, the poor chef?
No, that's not what I'm known at anymore. I gave that up. No, you know what happened? It was just I had an opportunity to be a single father, and I was doing tremendous in LA. And
you're gonna make all the ladies out there jealous watching my video.
But the thing was, and that was probably part of the problem. I think that the time that I was in LA, and it wasn't so long ago, but it was just it was like an oyster. It was you had to actually have talent back then, not just reality stuff or anything like that. So I think I was having too much fun, and I kind of thought, you know what, maybe I want to just take a break and just focus on the dream that I had of being with my son. Obviously, me and his mom didn't work out, so I had a dream of that. Sometimes I don't know if it was the best plan, but it's what led me to where I'm at now. So I guess it was God's plan. But so I came out from Los Angeles to Florida, and I just figured I would just take a break. And we were walking in a restaurant one day, and he thought, wouldn't it be cool to see real people on TV cooking? And of course, I had already had a great background in cooking. And
you made Caribbean food, right?
Yeah, coming from a Caribbean family where men actually are the ones who go down in the kitchen,
And they have some good food in the Caribbean, I can assure you that.
Exactly. So.
And healthy fruits.
Of course. So I needed something to do, and this kind of came into play. I came up with this really creative name, and next thing you know, it just started to take off, obviously through persistence and endurance and pressure, and it just led from this regular segments that I was doing on NBC on daytime. It was a syndicated show to cookbooks and then appearances, and I kind of tied it into a whole healthy type of meaning, because obviously health was really important back then. But unfortunately, I myself was probably not doing what I should have been doing because of stress and lack of sleep, because when you're trying to build something and you're working hard and you're working for yourself, and you're the one who has to come up with your whatever paycheck that you get, you find yourself lacking or not taking care of yourself the way you should be. So I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And
what year was that?
That was about 7 years ago. Or 6 years ago. So.
And was that before your cookbooks came out, or you decided to do the cookbooks afterwards, where you decided to make a healthy lifestyle change?
Well, I had one cookbook out at that time, and that was just a regular cookbook. It was healthy, but it wasn't something that you would say. It was still healthy, affordable meals, but of course, it wasn't the way we have it now with the American Diabetes Association book that I have out. So that was a different form of health, because there are different forms of health, right? what you may think is healthy and I may think is healthy is totally different, right? Somebody may be on a totally vegan diet and or juicing diet, and for them that's healthy. But for somebody else, healthy might just be, you know, staying away from certain sugars or something like that. So it was healthy, but it wasn't fully healthy, you know.
So tell me a little bit about you. You got diagnosed with diabetes, and then you decided that you wanted a lifestyle change. So
Yeah.
the first cookbook that you already had out that wasn't the Healthy Heart type cookbook, what was the name of that cookbook?
Eat cheap but eat well.
Eat cheap but eat well.
Yeah. Eat cheap.
And I'm sure you ate well and cheap from it.
You know, yeah, it's cookbooks are something else. They take a lot of time, and a lot goes into it, a lot more than people understand. But you know, like I said, it opened up a door to many things. And you know, when I was diagnosed, I then really had to. A lot of people ask me, you know, about certain steps, what to eat, and so on and so forth. And I tell people, number one, the first thing you got to do is look in the mirror. And I mean, look in the mirror, not the mental mirror, not the emotional mirror. You got to look in the mirror, right? And at times you got to look in that mirror and kind of see where you're at, see who you are. I looked in that mirror and I said, okay, Charles, I need to lose 20 pounds. You know, I mean,
were you really overweight, or did you feel it was something you wanted to do?
No, I mean, if you look at me now, I mean, you know, 20 pounds is not going to take me to being really overweight. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I wasn't like that, but you know, let's face it. I mean, you as someone who is a bodybuilder and competes, you know what our ideal body weight is supposed to be.
Well, I'm going to show you this part of our meet and greet with you eating and us doing our thing. This is what I look like. And anybody would say, oh my God, she's crazy. Why can't I look like that? I should only be that heavy. I'm 20 pounds heavier. I'm not competing, but I am going to be competing, and I've got to shred it down. But the thing is, it's just like you, and that's one of my points that I was going to say, is we all have a comfort level. And 20 pounds for me and 20 pounds for you is our comfort of where we want to be. So I'm with you on all that, and that's why I'm so happy that we're doing this together, because people need to understand what healthy is, what the right healthy tips are for you, and not necessarily what we do. We can just make these suggestions and guide you in the right direction. And I personally feel, and this is what I always say, if you're not sure how to eat, I do not believe in a diet. I believe in a healthy eating plan. And I think anybody, especially with diabetes, should consult with a nutritionist, because I always feel like that's the key in learning how to eat right. And then, of course, all these books and all these things that we read on the internet are all hopeful. But like you said, everybody does different diets that work for them, but what work for us are completely different. So.
You know, and you made a point. You know, one of the things is if you can't do certain things without feeling weighed down, I think that's time for you to say, hey, you know what? It's time for, if you can't run the way you should, if you if chasing a ball is burdensome or is tiresome, it's time for change.
Exactly.
If you ever see some people fall? The other day I was watching something where it was a very heavy set woman on one of those little scooter things, little segways. And I'm not making, but the way they fell was just, it was just boom. You know, it was no, if that is what your weight is doing to you, it's time to change.
Absolutely.
You know, I want to go back to a point where, you know, you could, you know, when you were a kid and you could run and get that ball, or you could throw that basketball, or you can, you know, catch that football. That's how we should be. And we should fight ourselves to get there.
Absolutely. And you know, the one thing that I'm such a firm believer in is if you don't take care of your health, not only will you have diabetes, you have secondary complications, tertiary complications, And from there, everything can shut your body down. And I was listening to one of your videos, and you were saying about diabetes and blindness being the #1 cause of, of diabetes. It's the leading cause of blindness. Isn't that what you said in one of your videos? And
yeah, it's amputations, heart disease,
And you're type 2, so
Yeah.
I don't believe in reversible, irreversible. I believe in you are who you are, and no matter what you've been given, God blesses you, and you have
Yes.
to use that blessing to the best of your advantage. So, like,
Mhm.
let's say you're type 2. You've always heard, oh, well, if I lose weight and get into shape, I can get rid of it. I
Yeah.
personally feel like it's not about losing weight and getting into shape. Like you said, it's about how we take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
Do you want to be back into your pants, or do you want to be bursting out of it and going and buying more clothes? Do you want to be able to get on a Segway and not have to fall over and worry about a hip replacement, because you're so heavy that the added weight caused you over? I mean, there are so many things I hear people saying, well, I need surgery for my hip, or I need a knee replacement, but I'm overweight and I have all these risks if I go under the knife. So it's like, that's what's so good about us, is I really want people to be inspired by who we are and what we do, and not what we live with. We do not have anything different than anybody else in this world. It stinks. I've interviewed a couple other people who are athletes. I just came back from Florida, and I got to tell you, it stinks traveling with insulin supplies. It stinks having to go to pat downs everywhere you go, but you expect it, and it's like part of you, and you just live with it. So anyway, back to you.
Yeah. No. I'm right with you.
So you got diagnosed, and
Yeah.
that's when you started coming out with another cookbook. Is that right?
Yeah. That's when I came out with the second cookbook. When I teamed up. Well, the whole thing is that I wanted to be the biggest face in diabetes. So I realized for me to do that I had to engulf myself in the world of diabetes. So I literally just dug in and started to do everything that I could to make a name for myself in diabetes, because I was working on a film, and still am, called The Diabetic You, that has taken us literally around the world to focus on the state of diabetes on a global scale. That's no rush job, because there's people that I'm still dealing with now who are facing complications. Some have passed, some are losing limbs, so we want to be able to go back and kind of relive all of that stuff. So I knew I had to do something special and really take the brand. There's this thing, an ancient Chinese thing. It says it's about crisis. Crisis basically equals crisis, but something equals opportunity. And through crisis, only can you have opportunity. So through my crisis of type 2 diabetes, I saw opportunity. I saw opportunity, number one, as a black male, to be a face of diabetes, because there was no one doing that. Number two, I saw an opportunity to change over from being this celebrity chef, because let's face it, at the end of the day, that's a tough gig. And there's a lot of competition, and it's a constant hustle. So I saw a way to educate people. I saw a way to do something special and kind of fit my calling. So yeah, that's what, how I got to some of where I'm at right now.
Did you have any emotions when you were newly diagnosed? Did you go through any kind of transition state? Did your psychological status change at all, or do you feel like you just embraced it and didn't have any issues with your diagnosis? Because the #1 thing that I hear from everybody is, were you depressed, or I got misdiagnosed, or I had a horrible time. And it's horrible to hear you have diabetes. I mean, that's your biggest nightmare. Nobody wants to hear that. But you seem to handle it so well.
Well, I thought I was going to die, because I knew nothing about diabetes. So I thought, you know what, wow,
And
dead.
nobody in your family has it at all? It's you just.
Well, I came to find out my aunt has it, but it's not like, it's not like something where I saw her or I knew about it or anything like that. It wasn't it wasn't a close aunt. It was a close aunt, but it wasn't anything where I never knew anything about diabetes. Trust me, so it's shocking. And
How did you
yeah,
get diagnosed?
well, it was just over a weekend. I was using the bathroom a little bit too much, and I kind of thought, I was self-diagnosing myself. And I thought, man, maybe I've got some bladder infection, kidney infection. I don't know what was going on. I was just using, and thank God that I kind of, noticed the symptoms and said, let me just go and get this checked out, because it just wasn't making any sense. And because it was something easy enough that I could have easily have just, to be honest, just overlooked it. You could have, just urinating a little bit too much could easily be overlooked as, maybe just drinking too much or whatever it may be. And, that's how it started. And I went to the doctor, and, he came back and said, well, you've got diabetes. And then he immediately said that he wanted to give me medication, which I thought was bizarre, because I'm like thinking to myself, I mean, there's got to be some other way other than just slap me with medication. So that's kind of how it started, this whole battle.
And you didn't need any insulin, like medication
No.
to relate to?
Well, the thing is I think that, and from working with doctors all the time, I think that, doctors, at times they think we're lazy. And what I mean by that is, how many people go in to see a doctor and they say, well, hey, you know what, you're pre-diabetic and you need to lose 25 pounds, or you need to lose some weight and you need to change your diet. They come back 3 months later, they haven't lost 1 pound. If anything, they've gained 2 pounds, right? And they haven't really changed their diet. So doctors, I think, say, you know what, we're just going to help treat this, because let's face it, we see too many people who come in here and they're not doing anything differently from what we left them and asked them to do. So the thing with me was, I initially, like I said, I went home. I was in shock. And I went online, number one, trying to figure out what to eat and what not to eat. And then literally one day very shortly, I just said, you know what? I'm going to eat what God told me to eat. Water, fruit, and vegetables. And that it was just that easy. I mean, at the end of the day, when you go online, you want to find this diet, that diet, and this paleo, this, and this, that, and the other thing. If we eat what God told us to eat and make those very small portions, and work and exercise and do simple things like that, fruits and vegetables and nuts and water, I mean, you can't go wrong with that. You can't go wrong with that.
One of the things I will tell you is I eat 6 times a day every 3 hours. And the reason I do that is, one, because my body's used to it, but
Yeah.
because everybody's individualized, and I go to my doctor regularly because I am an athlete and my sugars are different than anybody else's. And it's funny that you say that, because my doctors want to slow me down. I'm always like, go, go, go.
Yeah.
So they have to work with me diligently on my diet. And off season, it's different than in season. But the thing is, for me, to prevent binging or overeating and having a balance during my day, I need to eat every 3 hours, because otherwise, if I don't have that consistency, then later on in the day, some people say, I didn't eat all day. And then by dinner, they'll justify eating all this food because they didn't eat all day. And I justify it as, well, it's not a healthy lifestyle to starve your body all day and then overeat.
Yeah.
So just personally for me, to stay fit and healthy, and I think to set an example to other people, is small portions, measured amounts, carbohydrate counting every 3 hours. And I also take insulin and monitor my blood sugar and write everything down in the interim. And then I obviously also calculate my activity level into my daily routine. So definitely eating is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it's how you manage it. It's like going to work. It's like driving a car. It's like picking up your kids at school. It's a schedule. You have to make sure that you have that right balance in your day. And it's like, you know, when you say take time to yourself, you have to take time to yourself to eat. You have to feed your body. And when you feed your body, you feed your mind and your soul. And it's like you said, it's like how God wants us to eat, healthy.
Yeah.
So,
and I do want to say that, you know, and this is a serious matter and statement, is that food is literally, it's dangerous.
yep.
It's very, very dangerous. And I say that because, you know, there are times, even with myself, and I could imagine other people, where, you know, I don't eat a fried foods or anything like that. But, you know, there are times where you just know, I should not be eating this. And you eat it, and you eat it, and you eat it. You might go a whole day of eating horrendous things for yourself. You have high blood pressure, you have diabetes, you have high cholesterol, and you are eating pizza, you're eating hamburgers and French fries, you're taking your metformin, you may take your cholesterol medication, but you're still eating, literally, I mean, eating will kill you. It is like a drug. It's a scary situation. Having actually at times even a support group and people who, you know, will help you, because, you know, if you're around people who aren't eating right, my God, it can be a horrendous situation. Just imagine if you live in a household where, you know, people are overweight in that household and you're trying to eat healthy. And come Sunday, Super Bowl time, tomorrow there's fried chicken, there's pork chops, there's macaroni and cheese. It's almost impossible to stay away from that. And that is killing us. And
that's exactly why I'm so happy that you're doing this with me today, because I feel like Super Bowl Sunday and Valentine's next week, there are ways that we can still enjoy a party or a holiday, and not have to look. I love pizza. I just don't eat pizza. But if I wanted pizza, or if I wanted a hamburger to barbecue, or if I wanted to have chips and salsa, I could do it. I would just know, if I wanted to do it, make sure I eat clean all week, and then have one day a week where I say, I'm going to the Super Bowl. Yeah. I want to go out for Valentine's Day. You can have dessert. You can have a glass of wine. You can have a salad, a main course, you know, an appetizer. There's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. Just be prepared to know what you're going to eat during the day. And if you're going to go to a Super Bowl party, go ahead and have 2 slices of pizza and some chips and salsa. Don't deprive yourself. But in the interim, like you said, don't eat like that all day. Try to have a healthy breakfast, a healthy lunch, a light snack during the day, and drink a lot of water, a lot of water. Yep. And you can do it. And that's exactly right. And it's an epidemic. Mm-hmm. Food is an epidemic.
It is.
More so than any kind of diagnosis in this world. And I am determined to help not only spread awareness and advocate in the diabetic community, but I want to reach out, similar to what you're doing, to people who have obesity or people who struggle with eating and want to get their weight under control or want to get their diagnosis under control. Mm-hmm. I don't call it a disease. I don't call it a disability. Uh-oh, did I lose you? Oh, there you are. I don't call it a disease. I don't call it a disability. I call it a circumstance that we have to live with accommodations. And if we could do it, I hope we can help you do it too.